Welcome back to the Pairfect Crew. Today we are going a little bit deeper, another segue into the conversation that we had the last time. So if you haven't watched that yet, you may want to check it out on our YouTube or Facebook page. So the last time that we all gathered, we were talking about, should someone go back home to marry? Home is Nigeria for us, case in point, or should they marry someone that they meet because they're already diaspora? So we imagine that people have gone back home to go and marry. Now they've married and they've come back to the diaspora. What happens next? Do gender roles transfer from where we're coming from in Nigeria to Canada? Case in point, or wherever you find yourself in this part of the world. So that is what we'll be discussing today, is gender roles in a diaspora marriage. Anybody could take it away. What do you guys think about that?
I would say we should define what gender roles is first.
Okay. So are you saying that gender roles might have a different definition for Nigeria and a different definition if you're in India?
Yes.
Huh. Okay. But what do you think? Like, can you give us a little bit more context to that?
I would say like the expectation. You know how like back home the men are expected to become like the dogus of the house, take care of their wives. The wives do just, many things that women do of take care of the home. But here is the reverse is the case, or even it being equal. There's no expectation at all. That's what I feel like the gender is. So what do you guys think?
The gender roles in Nigeria, the typical average Nigerian culture is very unbalanced in the sense that men have just one expectation really, which is to take care of their family financially. The gender roles for women back home is insane. Like, we're expected to feed the family, take care of the kids, we're expected to be homemakers, we're expected to make sure that the extended family is well taken care of, we're expected to have jobs, we're expected to attend social events, you're expected to still even stay healthy, you're expected to have so much under your belt, and all the man has to do is literally just work and feed his family. That's the expectation, right? Now, from the last video, say you're a guy who chose to go home and find a wife. You went home, you found the wife, you brought her to Canada or wherever you live in the diaspora with those expectations. What we're trying to figure out today is, will those expectations still hold in Canada or wherever, Ukraine, UK, US, wherever outside of Nigeria? Because the expectation here for gender roles is way different. I don't even think it exists.
So let me ask you, what are your own thoughts? Like, do you think that those gender roles, because you've listed quite a few, and they're valid, I feel like the skills are kind of tipped against women in that regard, where, women are held to a higher standard. They're expected to, like, tick, check all those boxes and things like that, as opposed to, like, the men just providing. What do you subscribe to?
I fancy myself a traditional Nigerian girl.
Okay.
With a twist, a modern twist.
Okay, well, break it down first. What does it mean to be a
What it means to be traditional is, I think my husband is king. I do think that a man has a high place in the family, no doubt. I have those expectations of him where he should provide for his family, and he has expectations of me to be a homemaker as well as support him in the providing sense, in the bringing home the bacon type of expectation, the type of setting. Where it differs for me and him is he's also very, very involved in the homemaking process. So he's not leaving me to that by myself. So the roles, the lines I need to blur for us in that sense. We're not just, folding our hands and saying, our family's just going to work and take care of us, I'm going to take care of the family.
Okay, but in that regard, right, if there was say there's a couple now that is watching us, and they're a new couple or whatever, and they don't have that extra that you have, where your husband is supporting you in that regard, what would you say to them? Like, should they still, because it's almost like a caveat in a way.
Yeah.
Because it's like, because he's doing that, that's why you are able to. So if he wasn't doing that, if he was just sticking to the I'm a provider,
yes,
you are the homemaker,
yes,
stay in your lane.
Let's not make me work. My leader, I will stay at home and I will take care of the house for you. Okay. I will wash plate, I will cook. I ain't working. I ain't going to no office. I don't know what a laptop looks like. I don't want to know. I'm just going to leave the house, taking care of your children and making your meals. Bring home the bacon and you better give me a good life.
For me, any man travel, any man that is gender, the typical Nigerian gender person in this part of this world, man, Chris.
Wait.
Chris. Because there's no way.
Right.
There is no way you can choose to just provide, and every other thing that has to do with taking the kids to the daycare, taking care of the home, cooking, cleaning, everything, and still work 9 to 5. You know if you work. That's what I think.
So do you agree that a lot of men, or what do you guys think? Do you feel like a lot of our Nigerian men have those expectations, and this is part of why we're seeing such a high rate of divorce, separations, and things that are not really working in the home? What do you guys think about that? Is there a correlation or?
Taking us back to the last episode, right? I would say that's what they expect. Because that's the reason why they're going back home to marry and bringing the wife here. So they expect the same tradition from back home to happen here.
I think it's deeper than that, to be honest. As much as we're expecting that in a different sense, I think it's more of, to me, who I connect with, who has the same sense of humor as myself. Right, so
that's the mindset.
No, she's saying why we are going back home tomorrow. I'm trying to address that. As opposed to so personally, as much as I have that expectation, to a very large extent.
So you just hit the nail on the head, saying as much as you have that.
No, what I mean,
so that's what we're saying. You have that expectation.
Not extra tradition, like not traditional.
A little bit of tradition.
Because why did you
in the standard sense of what respect means to me, for instance, it may not be what respect means to a white woman. Right? From an
that's why you went back home.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But the expectation is not really gender roles as we've defined it today, right now. The expectation is not a man is supposed to, a woman is supposed to. My connection, for instance, with my wife was pretty much the fact that we have the same sense of humor. Or not even my wife, even I was going home to marry, regardless.
Okay, so would that sense of humor keep your home?
So that's I was going to go there. Right? Sense of humor.
Sense of humor.
The sense of humor enter the kitchen and cook. Your wife no cook, you go laugh.
Check it from me.
Okay, let's let me clarify, guys.
Let me say something real quickly. A man, you guys are generalizing it from the old African perspective. That's how I see it. Personally, what I think African men expect, for instance, is
education and environment.
Okay.
So say what you find here.
Maybe it means different. I don't know. But what I would think is a man would want to respect in the generic, not just in the sense of someone kneeling down to serve me food or something.
Nobody does that.
Right. Those are kind of like African tradition. But there are still standards, right? There are certain boxes you have to check as a man. And there are certain boxes you have to check as a woman. So if I look at that, I'm not trying to be discriminatory to any race or anything like that, but I know for a fact that the way I am designed aligns perfectly with the African woman. You get? And it's deeper than
okay, guys, let me throw a wedge into this because all this while
stop bitching and more kitchen, right?
Stop bitching and more kitchen. Wow. Feminists don't like it. But listen, guys, there was something that I think Phoebe and Awele, you guys talked about, and even maybe Maria kind of said a little thing about that, is that that's why they go to Nigeria or they went back home to marry. So are you saying that the women in Nigeria and the women back home are all traditional women?
No, not at all.
Or are you saying that they're having traditional gender role kind of marriages there?
When I think of a man,
yes,
when I think of a man buying a $3,000 plane ticket to go to Nigeria to marry, I'm not thinking he's going to Lagos to pick a wife. That man was married. That man went to Asaba. They took that practical village. Okay. With side to side. No, because why I say that is because I think an average Lagos girl is more exposed than us.
It's not lack of exposure.
No, but they want equality though. They don't want to come to your house and wash your plates and do your laundry.
Village girl said don't spoil fast now.
The average Nigerian girl wants to come home and sit down and not be stressed about and they want the man to provide. You don't get where they either Lagos, Abuja, Kenya, wherever.
I think I agree with that.
But when a Lagos girl go tourist,
yes, now.
Let me ask you a question. Will you compare an average Nigerian girl, Lagos, wherever you want, people slavery? Compare them
This is very slavery.
Caucasian, yeah.
No. I don't like. No.
What's compare slave queen for a white girl here?
See, no. I don't know.
It's still way different from.
You guys think so?
Yeah. And it's not coming from a discriminatory position. What I know for a fact is a joke that I would laugh to on TV. The person sitting next to me may never laugh to it. Do you understand?
This sense of humor is very important.
It's
Stop cooking and just be
no. I need to be able to drive. I need to be able to wait. But why is it
to drive and laugh?
because I don't care.
No, we're not going to say
It's big for me.
I guess even if it comes to the time I say,
Just make that point.
Obviously, it is the connection. It is
connection to laughter.
why I said it's deep. Why I said it's deep is I want to be able to drive and I maybe will pull over somewhere and I pick up my phone and I watch that videos and I'm laughing and I'm able to connect to why it's there. No, I'm only addressing what she said.
Well, addressing what I said, you're talking about humor. If your wife makes you laugh at home, you play Sabinus, she understands the joke, and she doesn't cook, clean the house, take care of the kids,
So that's
respect you, is that okay? Is that enough?
respect was one of my things that is one of my biggest.
No, but you spoke about sense of humor.
No, but that's not great. Remember, I said respect. No, but the thing is, to answer your question, simple, plain and simple, no. Because I believe strongly in gender role, but so maybe somewhat in a different context from what some people think gender role is. For me, gender role is, oh no, I can't marry a woman who can cook. Plain and simple. We can't do anything. Not because I want to use cooking to kill you,
Or you don't know how to cook.
but because it's pride for me to be able to come back home and I eat my wife's food and I'm like,
The African in you just spoke.
Yeah.
but
So that's what
I'm
I'm talking about.
not saying that is the crux of the
No,
what I'm
I
saying
totally
is,
get it.
we may be cooking 50-50 or maybe 60-50 or whatever, 60-40 or whatever, but the point is you must have this basic skill. I cannot marry a wife who's relying on me.
So that still brings us back to my point. You go back home to get a wife.
That's why I said to me there's gender expectation. However, it may not be in that strict sense.
So you're just saying like the extra should be the humor.
it's like
So can you, I think we should pose this question to all the men. Can you expect traditional submission if your wife hustles like you?
Yes, now.
Is that yes now?
Me and you, they hustle the same way.
Yes. You think that you're
Traditional submission.
wait.
So your own angle of submitting or
So
is only if your husband is working. If you guys are equal in financial work.
From the moment the wife start making, she's wearing the pants now.
Nobody arguing the thing. We're not arguing the thing.
What did they make us say? I don't wear socks.
Yes, like I'm also why you don't bring your money unless
to get to like an African woman.
You grew up in a certain way. You understand life.
Exactly, in a certain way.
Where you understand life is totally different from the way all these other people understand life. Okay, you need somebody that you are
Compliment me. That's
some people don't mind. Some people prefer.
No, I don't think that's understanding.
Right.
Traditional submission, as per me and you, wore suit and tie.
Yes.
Go to work in the morning. But when we come
Are
home,
you telling me that? Are you telling me that, for example?
And I said,
because the
Are you telling me that, for example, we go to work?
Yes.
So if you are making more than me,
no wahala.
So you will not submit to me.
Hold on.
then at the end of the day, you will now abandon whatever marital duty you have to do in the kitchen.
Oh God.
Because why? You are not equal.
We're not equal.
I don't understand.
I don't understand.
It's not like I'm saying, oh, you must this is not at least because you used to say
Yes, now.
don't say
So,
I mean, it's not about your reflection. The man of the house, you want it there.
so in this aspect, I don't know why when I hear this thing.
That's why I was fine.
Our guy.
Because see the way I see you. I think that you're a real matter. Let me say something. So, how can you say that? So let me say something about this discussion. This particular discussion. You see, there's no way the woman will go to work by 7 a.m.
Yes.
The man goes to work by 7 a.m. You guys come back together. Let's just let's see this scenario where you guys will be on your way back from home, and you are on the phone with your wife. Be like, okay, babe, you know what? Can you just run into home school and pick him up, or nursing school, pick him up, and then you guys will see at home.
Yeah.
That's an extra burden on the woman. Yes. So after she does that,
Just to come back home.
Listen, she has her skills, the woman skills.
Yeah.
In fact, God. Exactly. Okay. You are making my point, but God blessed our women in different. In fact, they are built differently. In as much as we know that they came out from our roots, right? But I would say that the women are stronger. You won't expect your wife to go through that hassle, and you guys come back to the same house, and then you expect her to enter the kitchen immediately. And even if it is 1 hour, to be you as a man helping her with something.
And you know something?
Phoebe, is your husband taking sister wife application?
Yes. No.
It's only open for me.
I don't like it.
Yes.
We never said anything about helping.
No, but when you are sounding like you might just do the needful or what you need.
Yeah, despite the fact that you
Okay, so let me ask. I think I know where Ifeanyi is coming from. Yes, Ifeanyi said she can shower. But Ifeanyi, would you allow her to shower if she's tired, she goes to bed, and you're not having dinner that night?
Or there's some
Go to the fridge and want soup that she food in the fridge.
I can fix my own food. I can warm my own food.
But
at the end of the day,
do you understand?
So in the case when she did not cook, what happened?
No, that would be an issue.
things happen.
How will it be an issue?
Things happen that, okay, in the case
And I'll explain why.
Okay.
Sometimes you have to say when she's very tired.
Right.
So this is okay.
It's not one day tired. It's continuously tired.
I understand what I mean. But what I'm saying now, those man roles that we play, okay, because we are talking about gender roles now, the role that we are playing as man of the house, knowing the law, making sure things.
But you can hire someone to do
Where
it.
is that now? Excuse me.
Talking from experience.
Knowing the law, we know those fixing one or two fixings, and just things you expect without even. You understand?
I know you have.
So that means
The way they mow the lawn, around all year round.
So, the men in diaspora expecting too much from their wives.
Yes.
no, I don't think so. I think as a matter of fact, because we know, I think because we understand the Western culture. I think the expectation is the biggest.
It is.
Do you understand? Because if you're coming from a traditional African perspective, you understand that the culture expects a lot more from you as a woman than you being here. Because you know that, first of all, as a man, the society is not favorable to you.
Why? You did down for the hierarchy.
The society is not favorable.
Right.
It's not rocket science. There's a lot of things that's working against you as a man.
Woman
Yes. Yes.
But does this expectation change if you're married, a Nigerian man is married to a white lady? Good question.
Because you have
Does it change when you're married to a white lady?
Because no, that's
I don't know. You know, I can answer that question because I'm not married to a white lady.
no wait.
And the white lady can answer that
In the comment section.
Because you have chosen to marry a white lady, it should not even matter to you.
Yes.
You are
No, it's not about
that again. It's not discriminatory. It's,
right.
If I've chosen to say I'm open to anything,
Then you throw culture away.
throw culture away.
Yes.
Yes.
So you married.
So are you expecting a white woman to do the
Like I said before.
Why not?
in consideration of the female's upbringing?
We were all brought up with a certain
Come on.
We were.
You understand?
We were.
It's not for me to say, for example, now I have to get married to a Caucasian and then now, you know what? And even that cooking herself, she will still make sandwich. Or fries.
But she has never made it. She has never understood these rules. Bear in mind that we are from two different cultures. We are married cultures.
Doesn't mean that white people don't have like their own
cultural
expectation.
The expectation is not the same as the African expectation. It's not even nearly the same.
But they also have that homemaking.
But what people are calling gender roles in the Nigerian culture, it starts to sound more like slavery.
Slavery.
Let me give you some context though. We don't have help.
Yeah, we don't have help.
You see?
You guys don't have help. This is crazy.
You don't have domestic. You don't have domestic. You are not. That's what because we're saying now that when we go to work together, you're still expecting even a sharp one.
No, but
still cook like it's not what we were talking about last night. He came home last night. He had to study after work. He had worked till 6 and then studied till 8. By the time he came home, I was bathing the kids, getting them ready for bed. But me and them had literally tussled all evening. You know, trying to feed them, trying to get them ready for bed. Zara had to do homework and all that. By the time he came home, he was like, "How will you pound?" I'm like, "Oh God, if I tell you that I can lift Tony Dari right now, I'm lying. I can't." I go, "You didn't argue. What? Okay, it makes funny. We watch it to a deep fraud.
But how many people? How many men do that?
That's what I'm saying. So I don't.
There are some men that will still expect their wives, even at the point of death, they don't want them to enter the kitchen.
Yes, that's my thing.
I think so.
You guys see that story on social media a long time ago that this guy he expected his wife that does give birth to enter kitchen to pound. The wife does give birth.
Where do they live?
In Nigeria.
What's in here?
I don't say like that's the expectation that Nigeria have.
So
I mean, what? The woman is still preaching and let her hands go.
Oh God.
So my final, what I'm going to say about this personally, what I'm going to say about this is this. I think we have a misconception as Africans of what gender roles, the expectations are. First of all, a lot of Africans misunderstand it.
I think it's
when you leave the shores of Nigeria and you come to the Western world, you understand that as if you're in Rome, you dress like a Roman. How do you say it? Right. So at the end, it's not no. You don't leave it. You don't completely, sever yourself as an African. No. But ideally, you should understand that we have come to a society that requires, both parties to function effectively. Mm-hmm. Now, in a situation where Awele is wiser than me, in terms of, let's say she's the financial one, right? If she's tech savvy, for instance, I cannot be acting as the boss when I know that she is in this aspect, she understands it perfectly, better than myself. So I will give that space and to say, thrive in this area. Now, it doesn't change the fact that I expect that I'm the major provider. Doesn't mean she doesn't provide, but I'm the major provider. Now, cook and clean. I'm not waiting for my wife to cook and clean. Technically,
speaking for yourself,
no, sorry. I'll take that back. Sorry, I married my wife because I know she knows how to cook and clean. However, I'm not going to say that if she doesn't cook today, understanding that her schedule was busy, that it's a problem or it's going to be a deal breaker or something like that.
So I'm hearing all this. Wait, hold on. Let me jump in here. I'm hearing all this, but I'm just wondering if women here in diaspora are expected to assume their traditional gender roles because that's what they married us and all of that. Why are we still providing? Yeah. Why are we helping the men to provide? Why are we not just holding our gender roles? So we're gonna work because we are independent women. Yeah. We went to school. A lot of us even went to graduate school. So we are working. We want to work. Nobody's saying that we want to be stay at home mom. Mm-hmm. But even if we want to be stay at home mom, that's also okay. But why do I also have to support you financially as well and do my gender role?
Because our roles overlap. Nobody's in Canada or in abroad, wherever you are, UK, US. Our roles overlap. Like I said, I expect that my wife's primary responsibility is to cook. Does not mean that if she's unable to cook, I cannot do the cooking. That's why I said our roles overlap. There's no expectation that this is this. It's not defined in that way. That's why I said the traditional understanding about gender roles is completely disrupted when it comes to the Nigerian thinking. Personally, I think that there is still that expectation that a man will be clean by that. Does not mean that a woman cannot support. That's why you are a helpmate. You would support your man if he cannot provide. It's as simple as that. You will fill in that gap. Now, if your woman cannot cook because she's exhausted, because she's exhausted and she cannot cook that night, Of course, you cannot force a horse. You cannot force her to come and cook the food.
So are you advising men?
But it is your primary role to cook in the house. It is my primary role to ensure that there's provision of food.
But
But it doesn't mean it cannot be done. That's what I'm saying.
What was your question to the ladies?
That this gender inequality.
They always make it look like it's punishment as opposed to honor. I think so. It's an honor. It's a thing of pride. Like your husband is eating your food consistently. I think it's a thing of honor.
This gender role something. A man is still to say, Africa or overseas or whatever. Or woman wants to think that
We're different, isn't it?
it's over. It's over, man.
We're different, isn't
They
it?
want to adopt to whatever
Society.
like, come on.
Okay.
We don't want I've learned. So basically what I want to say is there's a lot of factors that goes into the whole gender role and all that stuff. You have to see this topic is a very broad and controversial and wide topic.
It is.
And you know what I'm saying that is that there's a lot of things that actually goes into it. Starting from I'll start from here. The environment. If you're in Nigeria, the culture, African culture, is woman. You respect your husband. Even though you are making money or whatever, you respect your husband.
Fact.
It's the culture.
Yes.
So Nigerians are like that.
Hold on. It's the culture.
That's what
It's the culture. Let me just speak. Let me just go fast so that we just get everything. Culture, straight up. It's normal. It's a normal thing. African culture that woman will always be honor the men, respect your husband.
Right.
Honest. Okay. And the thing is, you will do all that if you're in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Even though you're working,
Yeah, right.
because it's the environment. Now we're here. The environment, the culture here is that the two of you go run out together. You are equal.
Okay.
It's the culture here. Even though you think they don't have the culture, it's their culture. You will do it together because there's so many factors again that actually
against you.
they're against the
Family structure.
What's the gender? You need double income. You need double income. You need everything. So definitely you have to just go with the culture here and everything, and you work together to make it happen. That's how it is. The truth about it again now is that even though you spend 20 years, 40 years, 50 years here, by the time you move back to Nigeria, automatically everything will change again. I'm telling you, it will change. Let me tell you something. Oh wait, let me finish. You know why it will change? The environment. You know definitely. And once you start saying, you're not going to do that, what is the environment in Africa? In the environment, I'll collect
Slavery.
I will collect another wife. The environment. I will tell you to get out of my house. If I change the environment, I tell you not fight the environment. Because I talk about abroad, you come there, we'll talk together. No, you will shut up. You will be with them. Hold on there. It's the truth. Let's go. My defense after 20, 30 years. I will tell you get out of my fucking house.
And wait, there's one thing I do for sure. One thing I do for sure
the environment plays a major role in gender, in all the gender.
But I see where you're coming from.
If you go back to Nigeria, see, I can go report to your mother and father.
Oh, she did it, yes.
Sent to my house. Please, viewers, tell me who get house for Nigeria. Tell me who get house for Nigeria.
We go back. You will go back. Especially what I'm hearing from you men, is that what things in Nigeria does not obtain. Yeah. The moment you get on the plane, everybody come correct. So we all agree that from the last episode, if you guys want to be of the school of thought that you want to go home and get married and bring her here, change that mind. They go see with it from their court.
Still not the same. What's my other place that the people have said for wrong?
Say this place people men say we pay cash well and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You guys don't need to work. You know, say that you're we still take
We don't know. Well,
We still take care of you guys.
We don't know. Just like
because my husband went.
We don't even do
When he went to get my parents, when he asked them, well, what did you study in school? He said, I got to say, yeah, I like a girl that does white collar jobs. I like a girl that does next to
Yes,
I like the idea of me watching.
Yes, but yeah, you end up this kind of corporate for heart take back and all. That's true.
Okay, guys. Okay. Hello, Pairfect Crew, and we're gonna bring this back to we cannot get a compromise on this, and that just goes to show you that I mean, collectively, we're talking about almost like more than 30 years of marriage, just collectively, all of us, and we love our spouses, we're very connected, and we still cannot reach a consensus on this issue. It just kind of gives you an idea that this is something that will keep coming back. We don't want to walk. That will keep coming back, and I'm going to go around and just take 30 seconds last minute thoughts. So whether you're for or against or a mixture of both, just give us 30 seconds, very short and sweet. Tell your viewers who that are watching you right now and are saying like they don't know where to stand on this, or they're just about to get married, or they just got married and now they're here. What should we expect, right? So 30 seconds. Anybody can go.
Okay, my thought on this is if, for example, I'm going to Nigeria to get married to bring a woman here, there is already an expectation in my mind. And there's a reason why because like you said, there are lots of ladies here and everything that you can settle down with. But if there's a value you are looking for in the wife, she doesn't have to be, I don't want to say everything will be saying, but she doesn't have to be like, simple what we're saying about like a house step and all that. No, you contribute to the help. That is why you guys work together. But for me to go to Nigeria to go and get married and bring somebody here, there is an expectation, something I expect from the wife. You understand also. Like the food, the cooking, the mentality, all those things.
Right.
So that is why I will still go back to Nigeria to get married.
Well, my last take on this is do your best and do your best.
I'm telling you because when you bring somebody here, I can feel comfortable with people
Honestly, another fact is that I always take my Nigerian woman, my Nigerian queen, African queen to any white girl because honestly, you need your spicy food there. I'm not into.
Take your flour.
I see some white girls throwing down in the kitchen. Shout out to Manzi. Some people throw down in the kitchen.
I don't care. There's a difference, man. Not YouTube food. I'm talking about natural home.
Right.
Not too much on YouTube.
Mom taught me how to whip it for food.
Okay.
Organic skill set.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I think.
So I totally agree with what my brother said. The only thing I'm going to add to that is for the viewers there out there, I would say women respect your husband. Husband, love your wife. That's what the Bible said. That's what.
Okay, next question.
So for me, it goes both ways because it sounded like when you go home to get a wife, then it's on the men, right? It also works the other way. Even as a woman, Nigerian brought up, I cannot be married and not enter the kitchen or clean up the house. So it comes naturally. So for me, it goes both ways, and I believe it depends on what. Right, I totally get that. So for me, it's more of what do you guys want in your home? How do you run your home? Do what works for you.
At the end of the day, last.
So
So do what works for you.
yes, very good.
Okay. My turn.
Yes, your turn.
My turn.
This will be for the ladies. Not talk well. Don't know Maria. Once you cannot tolerate in Nigeria, don't think you can take it here. Make sure you know your spouse, right? And know that you can deal with whatever bullshit it brings.
Very, very important points.
Right. Yeah. I'll leave it there.
Okay, I get it. Let me speak. I guess it's my turn. No, wait. So what I wanted to say is me. I'm a traditional Nigerian girl. Me, so I have expectations. I have me. I have expectations of my own gender.
Update. Don't follow our label. She's a traditional girl.
Let's match each other aura for aura. If you expect me to cook and clean, let me be on the flight to Greece every other month. Who won't cook when you get Friday my lifestyle? Let's be matching everybody's expectation aura for aura. I don't care where we live. Anywhere we live, you expect me to cook and clean and break my back. I expect you to walk like your jacket. Walk like. But if you think you can handle the diaspora expectation of pitching in, 50-50 on everything, it must be like 80-20 because I still need to respect you as a provider. So, but the funny thing is that everybody cannot bring a percentage. It can be 100-0 sometimes. It can be 90-10. So all I'm saying is that let's just work together, right? In the diaspora, if that's your expectation, I will say, but if you expect me to kill myself, I also expect you to kill yourself. Right.
I think I've come back to reason because point is, again, I have that expectation that anybody I'm going to get married to has that African perspective. Again, but my expectation is more of your primary rules. We have primary rules of provision. If there's snow on the driveway, I don't expect my wife to go shopping. Right? If there's grass to be cut, I don't expect her to even make the arrangements, even if I can't do it or she can't do it. That's my duty. So I think we're having a problem with understanding that these roles, these duties are honorable. We are looking at it from the perspective of it's a job or it's I'm belittling a woman and I'm elevating a man. No, so I'm going to say, okay, to finalize what I'm saying, I love a woman who understands her role, who understands that she needs to fulfill those roles to keep her home. Same thing with the man. Understand that you have your role, but those roles could overlap. Just basic.
Right. Okay. Very, very interesting thoughts, however different they are. For me, I just feel like manage your expectations, right? Set realistic goals for when you are moving here with your new spouse that just came from, back home, whether it's Kenya, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, wherever it is. Manage your expectations. You may not necessarily get what you're hoping to get if you guys were living in Nigeria or in, back home, when you go into the diaspora. And I think that a lot of families that fall short of that don't manage those expectations and just feel like, it has to be this particular way, end up running into problems. So that's kind of the way that I would sum it up, is just manage those expectations. The way the society here is set up, it's set up that two people would work and provide. But I think that it's only fair in doing that, you're also, as the man in the home, also being able to support your spouse with other domestic aspects as well. And, there is no manual to this. We just, we put our legs in and then we hope for the best. That's pretty much how it works. So,
put it in God be praised.
Put it in God.
Like I never say, do your best.
Do your best. So, at this juncture, we have come to the end of this topic. Thank you guys for staying with us and just kind of following through. Let us know what you think in the comments. If you may have some different ideas that we did not even touch on, absolutely feel free to drop it on, in the comment section. And please follow us on all our social media platforms. Hit the subscribe button, and we will be back again soon, bringing you another hot topic. And for me and the Pairfect Crew, we say,
bye. Peace out.